books and books and rules of golf and way to play golf and the things that we must do, etiquette of golf. But when it comes to business, we seem to do it on a wing and a prayer. Where are the rules? Where are the fundamentals? We seem to run our business on a day-to-day business in the hope that if I get a customer, that means I've done it right. If I don't get a customer, that means it's done it wrong. There are very few rules. So what I want to do is share with you some rules today, some fundamental rules. The first one is the customer journey, understanding what the customer journey is. Now, the customer journey is quite simple. It's where the customer goes from not knowing anything about you to finding out about you, to then actually buying your product or service, and then becoming an advocate. Now that customer journey is highly important, and every company should know what the customer journey is for their customers, i.e. how customers go about finding out about you, becoming interested in you, and then buying you. Now the trouble is many companies have no idea of either the customer journey for their clients, nor indeed where their clients are in the customer journey, from here to there. Most companies don't know that, and that becomes obvious when you start to look at all their communication and the literature, because the stuff they put out doesn't actually make sense to many customers, because customers on different parts of that customer journey are looking for different things. So most companies just tend to throw everything at them. The more we tell them, then the more they'll like us, which is, of course, is absolutely rubbish. Now, the other point about it is, of course, the customer journey will vary for different market segments, for different groups of customer. They will vary that journey. So that, for example, the way they buy your product, your similar product, may be different from that customer segment to that customer segment. Therefore, the way I market to them, by definition, it's got to be different, hasn't it? We simplify that in something called AIDA. Do you know what AIDA is?
An opera from the opera.
It's not an opera. Yes, it's an acronym.
Attention, interest, desire, action.
Attention, interest, desire, and action. It is a fact that in order to get a customer to buy, you have got to take them through a process. Now, marketing in business is a little bit like personal relationship. It's a bit like seduction. You actually have to seduce them before you can get them to bite, so to speak. Customers will not be interested until they are aware. How we make them aware then is key. Many companies make customers aware, especially if it's a new customer group, by they run an advert and they give a discount. Why do I want a discount? I don't even know what your product is. I'm not aware of it yet. You will not get interest until you get awareness. So then how do we get interest? How do we get a customer to move from awareness to interest? Because until they get to interest, I cannot get them to desire the product. And what is the psychology of the customer when they're at the desirable stage as opposed to when they're at the interested stage? Now just think back. Think back when we were teenagers, right? Then the sap was rising. Then the sap was rising. And we saw what we wanted to explore and what we wanted to win. We went through that process. We go through that process on human relations, and we have to go through that process on business relations. It is a rule. That's one of the first rules in a rule book, because that dictates everything we do from now on. Now, when you're face-to-face with a customer, all salespeople will know this. When you're face-to-face with a customer, it's fairly easy to do this because you get instant feedback. You can ask questions, and you can determine what stage the customer is at, and therefore how to move them to the next stage. But when you're doing marketing, you're hundreds of miles away. You don't get the instant feedback. Therefore, you have really got to first of all, find out where your customer is in the journey. Are they at the awareness level? Are they at the interest? Are they at the desire? And then are they at the action? It's a bit like a boiling kettle. When you switch a kettle on, it doesn't boil instantly. It builds up till it gets to that point, at the highest point, and that's the action. So I have to take the customer through this journey. Therefore, everything I communicate with them, I have to communicate knowing where they are in this journey. Because what the customer wants to know at that level is different from that level. So let's just go through some examples of that. I need to get their attention and their awareness, right? I need to know where they look for information, my market segments. What magazines do they go to? And do they go to the website? What words do they use? How am I going to get their attention like that? How am I going to make them aware? There is no point in filling them with all my products that I have got to do. No point in telling them about that at this initial stage. The next stage is to get them to interest. I make a customer interested by showing them that what I have meets their problems or meets their needs. Therefore, I have to know what their needs are. And that's where most companies fail, because all they do is they tell the customer what we offer. That's it. We do this, we do that, and then you leave the customer to decide whether it's appropriate to them. No, we have to know much more about what the customer's needs are, because then we can convert them to the interest. Now, when they get to that stage, they're saying, I like this product or service because that meets these problems, these issues I have. So how do I get them to the desire stage? Because this isn't enough to be interested. I've got to desire it. Now, what interest shows that my present state now, where I remember the issues and the problems I face, my present state now is being solved. I now like the product so much, I now start to envision me living with that product in the future. And that's desire. But I still haven't got them to buy. That's all I've got them to that stage. Then the next stage is actually to get them to buy. Call for action. Time's running out. Special deal. This is where the deal comes in. This is where I can start to use the deal to get them to the last stage. It's therefore obvious that if I'm moving into a new market, there is no point in giving them a deal. I have got to take them through this process. And what that does is it takes all the communication, everything that you do. Now, one of the interesting things is we're very much in the digital age now, but there's still room for the traditional marketing. Advertising above and below the line in newspapers and everything is great for creating awareness, but we get no feedback. The digital marketing is very good for creating interest, desire and action, because we can track everything we do. We can see how they click onto a landing page and therefore what subject they like, and we can go back to them with information on that subject. So digital marketing is very good for taking the customer through this process because we can react to it. So let me ask you a question. This was the point you were making. Which customers are the most important to you? Those that have gone through AIDA or those who haven't started? It's obvious. The ones that have gone, your current customers. And that takes us onto another model called ANSOF. Now that is another model that I'll be talking about on this 2-day course that we're going to do. What a lot of companies do is go for new customers. And they're down here. This customer already loves you and knows how you work, knows how you operate. So they're the most important. Now another model is called Pareto, which is another subject that we're going to look at. And what Pareto does, it tells you which customers have gone through here and which ones you should be concentrating on. But it still allows us to go for new customers. But if I'm going to go for new customers, then my strategy will be different from customers that are already there. So I'll leave you with one little thought to prove AIDA. Imagine this. You're in a bar, I'm in a bar, and at the other end of the bar, there is a nice young lady, or in your case, a nice young man, right? And you say, hey, I want a bit of that. That sounds very good. I'm going to go over there. And I go up and say, hey, my name's Kevin. You want to come out for dinner with me? I'm a great guy. I've got a fantastic sense of humour. I've got a load of money. And, you know, I've got a body to die for. And outside, I have got a huge, huge big car. I think you should come for dinner with me. What do you think her reaction would be? Well, her second word would be off.
I know he's not wearing a wedding ring, so I suggest that strategy's not working.
Yes, that's because I play cricket and I'm left-handed. That's why I don't wear a ring. So the point I'm making is that's what a lot of companies do. Now that is defying everything that AIDA tells us. I'm just going straight in there and doing that, and it doesn't work. So why do we do that in business? So that's it. That was called AIDA. Thanks.